My chosen one, something has just happened in the heavenly realms that has never happened for you before. A secret meeting in heaven just concluded, and your name was the final word spoken. Not someone else's. Not a random soul drifting through time. Yours. And as those final syllables echoed through the courts of light, there was movement. Swift, urgent, unstoppable movement. Archangel Michael did not delay. He did not consult another scroll. He's rushing to deliver the results. And this message must reach you before the sun sets. This is not a coincidence. This is a divine interruption. While you were going about your day, thinking ordinary thoughts, carrying silent worries, feeling unseen battles pressing against your heart, heaven was speaking about you. There was deliberation. There was review. There was strategy. And then, silence fell. A holy silence. Because what was decided about you cannot be undone by earthly forces. Listen carefully. The meeting was not about punishment. It was not about loss. It was about positioning. You have been in a season where doors felt delayed, answers felt hidden, and certain relationships began to shift in ways you could not explain. You wondered if you missed something. You questioned if heaven forgot your prayers. But no. Every tear you thought fell unnoticed was recorded. Every night you whispered, "God, are you there?" was heard. And when your name was spoken in that sacred council, it was not spoken in disappointment. It was spoken in declaration. There are forces that tried to delay your elevation. There were unseen oppositions that whispered, "Not yet. Not this one." But when your name became the final word, that meant something irreversible was sealed. Final words in heaven are not suggestions. They are commands. And who stood when your name was spoken? Archangel Michael. He did not remain seated. He did not hesitate. He rose not in anger, but in authority. Because when destiny must be protected, when transition must be guarded, when a child of the Most High is about to cross into a new territory, Michael moves. You have been sensing something. A tension in the atmosphere. A strained mixture of pressure and anticipation. That is because the verdict is already in motion. Here is what you must understand. When heaven concludes a meeting with your name as the final word, it means that the cycle you have been trapped in is closing. The confusion, the delay, the stagnation, it has reached its expiration date. But why the urgency? Why must this reach you before the sun sets? Because timing matters. There is a decision you are about to make. There is a conversation forming. There is a thought that has been circling your mind repeatedly. And if you move without awareness of what heaven has decided, you may act from fear instead of faith. Michael is not rushing because you are in danger. He is rushing because you are on the edge of alignment. The meeting concluded with 3 outcomes. First, protection has been reinforced around you. What with attempting to intimidate you will lose its grip. Second, exposure is coming. Something hidden around you will not remain hidden. Truth is surfacing, and it will bring clarity, not chaos. Third, acceleration has been approved. What felt slow will begin to move with surprising speed. But here is the part that may shake you. When your name was spoken, there was also a question asked in heaven. Will they recognize the shift? Or will they cling to what they have outgrown? This is where your awareness becomes critical. You have outgrown environments that once felt safe. You have outgrown patterns that once felt normal. You have even outgrown versions of yourself that were built for survival, not purpose. And Archangel Michael is moving because once the verdict is delivered, resistance around you will react. Not to destroy you, but to test if you truly believe what hath been decided. You not mistake the shaking for loss. It is transition. You not mistake distance for abandonment. It is divine rearrangement. Do not mistake sudden revelations for betrayal. It is exposure sent for your protection. Before this day ends, you may feel a subtle confirmation, a message, a shift in someone's tone, an unexpected opportunity, or even a sudden peace that does not match your circumstances. That is the result being delivered. And here is what heaven wants you to know right now. You were not the first name mentioned, but you were the last. And in divine order, the last word carries the seal. Michael carries that seal. As the sun begins its descent, the spiritual atmosphere around you is adjusting. What was heavy will feel lighter. What felt blocked will begin to open. But you must remain steady. Do not panic if something shifts quickly. Do not retreat into old habits. Stand. Because when Archangel Michael rushes, it is not out of chaos, it is out of certainty. Something has concluded in your favor, and before the sun sets, you will sense it. The question is not whether heaven has moved. Beloved guardian of destiny, something is shifting in the unseen, and now the movement that began in heaven is pressing closer to your earthly reality. What was decided in that sacred council is no longer just a spiritual decree. It is becoming an unfolding event. Archangel Michael is not running in panic. He is advancing with precision. There is a difference. And it reacts. Precision executes. And what is being executed over your life right now is alignment. You may have noticed subtle signs already. A conversation that did not go as expected. A door that seemed to close without warning. Or perhaps a sudden urge inside you to detach from something that once felt important. These are not random emotions. They are signals. When heaven seals a verdict, the environment around you begins to rearrange itself to match that decision. You are not losing control. You are being repositioned. Michael's role in this hour is critical. He is the defender of transitions. When a soul is about to cross from one spiritual season into another, resistance often intensifies. Not because you are failing, but because you are advancing. The enemy does not fight what is stagnant. It only reacts to movement. And you, whether you feel ready or not, are moving. This is why the message had urgency. Before the sun sets, something within you must shift from doubt to awareness. You cannot step into what heaven approved while clinging to insecurity. The secret meeting did not conclude with hesitation. It concluded with authority. And that authority now surrounds you like an invisible shield. There is also something deeper happening. A truth that may be uncomfortable but necessary. Some of the pressure you have felt recently was not opposition. It was preparation. The weight was strengthening you. The silence was sharpening you. The delay was building endurance in places you did not even know were weak. Michael is not only delivering results. He is guarding your mindset. Because if your mind stays trapped in old narratives, you will misinterpret divine acceleration as chaos. You might think, why is everything changing so fast? But the real question is, why were you comfortable staying where you had already outgrown? Heaven has answered that question for you. There are people connected to your life who will begin to sense this shift before you even speak about it. Some will celebrate. Others will feel unsettled. Not because you harmed them, but because your elevation confronts what they chose to remain in. Do not shrink to preserve comfort. When Michael stands on your behalf, shrinking is no longer an option. In the next hours, pay attention to your reactions. Not your circumstances, your reactions. Are you responding with fear, or are you responding with trust? The verdict spoken over you was not fragile. It does not depend on your perfection, but your cooperation determines how smoothly you transition into it. You were the final word spoken for a reason. Final words close debates. Final words seal outcomes. Final words initiate movement. This is also the moment where you must participate. Engage. Lean in. If this message is resonating with you, do not stay silent. Like this video as a sign of agreement with what heaven has declared. Share it with someone who has been feeling a similar shift. Comment your faith below and declare that you are ready for divine alignment. Subscribe to this channel and join this growing community so you remain connected to the messages that are unfolding in this season. Your engagement is not just interaction, it is alignment. When you respond, you anchor the message deeper into your spirit. And hear this clearly, there is more unfolding than you can currently see. The acceleration approved over your life will not always look dramatic. Sometimes it appears as clarity. Sometimes it appears as courage to say no where you once said yes. Sometimes it appears as sudden peace in situations that used to provoke anxiety. Michael's rush was about timing. Before the sun sets, you must decide to stand in agreement with heaven's conclusion. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Because once you internally align, external confirmation begins to multiply. The day may continue normally on the surface, but underneath, foundations are being adjusted. Contracts in the unseen are being rewritten. Patterns that held you back are weakening. Do not underestimate this moment. You are not being warned. You are being prepared. And what unfolds next will reveal just how serious that secret meeting truly was. Hold your focus. The next revelation will explain why your name was not just mentioned, but protected. Faithful soul, the reason your name was protected in that secret meeting is about to become clear. What heaven discussed was not only about your future, it was about interference. There were patterns forming around you that, if left unnoticed, would have quietly redirected your path. They did not look dangerous. They looked ordinary, comfortable, familiar. But sometimes the greatest teachers wear the mask of normalcy. When your name was spoken as the final word, it interrupted something. There was a subtle agenda unfolding around your life. Conversations happening without your knowledge. Opinions forming about your capacity. Even spiritual resistance attempting to test your endurance. But here is the truth that must settle in your spirit. None of it surprised heaven. The meeting was not reactive. It was strategic. Archangel Michael stood not because you were losing, but because you were about to win in a way that required defense. You have been underestimated. That underestimation was allowed for a season. It kept you hidden while you were being strengthened. But now the season of concealment is ending. And whenever hidden growth becomes visible, opposition reacts. There is someone around you who does not fully understand your transformation. They still see the older version of you. The one who doubted. The one who tolerated less. The one who accepted silence instead of speaking truth. But heaven no longer addresses you by that identity. When your name echoed in that sacred council, it was spoken with authority, not insecurity. This is why exposure was approved. Not exposure to shame you, but exposure to free you. What hath been unclear will become unmistakable. What felt confusing will begin to make sense. You may soon notice inconsistencies in someone's behavior. You may sense a shift in loyalty. You may even uncover information that changes your perspective entirely. Do not panic when clarity arrives. Clarity is a gift, even when it shakes you. Michael's rush was connected to timing because the revelation must reach you before you commit to something misaligned. There is a decision hovering near your life, a commitment, a response, an agreement, and if you had moved without awareness, you would have stepped into delay instead of destiny. But heaven intervened. You must understand how rare it is for your name to be the final word. In divine order, the final word carries final authority. It overrides objections. It silences accusation. It seals protection. That seal is now over you. You might feel emotional as this unfolds. Old memories resurfacing. Old wounds attempting to whisper that you are not ready. But those whispers are not stronger than the verdict. The verdict declared you prepared. The verdict declared you protected. The verdict declared you positioned. And something else happened in that meeting that you need to hear. When your name was spoken, there was no debate about your worth. There was no hesitation about your calling. The only discussion was about timing. Because heaven knew that once this activation begins, your life will not remain small. You have been praying for expansion. But expansion requires exposure. It requires truth. It requires courage to release what cannot enter your next level. The sun has not yet set, which means you are still in the window of awareness. Before this day ends, ask yourself honestly, what have I been tolerating that no longer aligns with who I am becoming? What have I been afraid to confront? What decision have I delayed out of comfort? A meeting in heaven addressed those very questions. Archangel Michael is not only a warrior, he is a guardian of divine transitions, and he would not be rushing if what was decided about you was minor. This is not a small adjustment. This is a shift of direction. As clarity unfolds, resist the urge to react emotionally. Observe. Listen. Discern. Let truth rise fully before you respond. When heaven exposes, it does so completely. Partial revelation creates confusion. Full revelation creates freedom. There will be confirmation. You will sense it in your spirit first. A sudden knowing. A quiet strength replacing anxiety. That is the seal settling. And now, hear this deeply. You were not chosen at random. Your name was not spoken as a courtesy. It was spoken because your obedience in past seasons earned trust in this one. Heaven trusts you with what is coming. So stand firm. Let the exposure come. Let the rearrangement happen. Let the transition begin. Type "I stand in truth" in the comments if this is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 3147 has just been released over those who receive this word in faith. And as this truth settles over you, understand something powerful. When you sow into a message that protects souls, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a movement of light. The word declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and this is not ancient history. This is God speaking into your present moment. If this revelation has awakened you, let your action reflect your alignment. When you give through super thanks, join membership, or release a seed through the PayPal link in the description, you become part of the river that carries these warnings and promises to hearts across the world. I feel led to say this clearly. I am responding because heaven moved first. Do not let this moment pass as ordinary generosity. This is prophetic participation. As you sow, may protection surround your household, and may acceleration meet you before the next sunrise. Step into obedience and release your seed now. Precious one, now that the seal has been placed and truth has begun rising to the surface, you may feel a strange tension inside your spirit. It is the tension between who you were and who you are becoming. Whenever heaven finalizes a decision, the earth must catch up, and that space in between can feel uncomfortable. But do not mistake discomfort for danger. This is the stretching of capacity. After that secret meeting concluded, and your name became the final word, a shift began not only around you but within you. Some desires are fading. Some attachments feel weaker. Some ambitions that once consumed your thoughts now seem smaller. This is not loss of passion. It is purification of focus. Archangel Michael's urgency was not only about external events. It was also about internal alignment. Because if your spirit is not prepared for what is coming, you may sabotage the very blessing you prayed for. There is a promotion of responsibility approaching you, not necessarily in title, but in influence. People will begin to watch you more closely. They will listen more carefully. They will measure your reactions. And this is where maturity becomes your shield. The Heavenly Council discussed more than exposure and protection. They discussed stewardship. You are stepping into a season where your words carry weight. Your silence carries meaning. Your presence shifts atmospheres. That is why the old version of you cannot cross over. That version reacted from emotion. This version must respond from wisdom. You might notice that arguments no longer attract you. Drama no longer excites you. Validation no longer satisfies you the way it once did. That is growth. But growth can feel lonely at first. Because when you outgrow certain frequencies, you naturally detach from environments that thrive in them. You not chase what is falling away. When Michael rose in that meeting, he rose to defend the new you, not the insecure you, not the fearful you, but the refined version shaped by pressure. You have endured misunderstandings. You have endured silent battles no one applauded you for surviving. You have endured moments where giving up would have been easier than continuing. And yet you continue. Heaven saw that. The urgency to reach you before sunset was connected to identity. If you enter the next chapter still doubting who you are, you will hesitate when boldness is required. And hesitation can delay momentum. You must begin seeing yourself the way heaven addressed you. Not as someone trying to prove worth, but as someone already entrusted with purpose. There is also a relational shift approaching. Someone may either step closer or step away. Let it happen. When divine transitions occur, alignment becomes visible. Some people are assigned to your preparation season, not your elevation season. That does not make them enemies. It simply means their role was temporary. Do not cling to temporary roles. You may feel moments of unexpected courage rising within you. Words forming that you once suppressed. Boundaries strengthening that you once blurred. This is confirmation that the internal shift is working. The meeting in heaven was not symbolic. It was decisive. And there is something else you need to understand. Acceleration does not always look like speed. Sometimes it looks like clarity. When confusion lifts, progress quickens. When distraction fades, focus sharpens. When fear dissolves, action becomes natural. Pay attention to the ideas coming to you now. The insights. The sudden understanding about certain situations. Those are downloads of strategy. Michael's protection ensures that as you step forward, unseen interference cannot override your path. But remember this. Protection does not eliminate responsibility. You still must choose obedience. You still must choose integrity. You still must choose discipline. Before this season closes, examine your habits. Are they aligned with where you are going? Or are they rooted in where you have been? The heavenly decision over your life requires cooperation. Grace is covering you, but growth requires participation. The most powerful shift happening right now is confidence without arrogance. You will begin walking differently, speaking differently, even thinking differently. Not because you are better than anyone else, but because you finally recognize what you carry. You carry authorization. That is why resistance tried to exhaust you. If exhaustion had convinced you to quit, this moment would not exist. But you did not quit. You questioned. You wrestled. You doubted at times. But you did not walk away. Heaven honors endurance. As the day continues unfolding, observe how situations begin aligning without you forcing them. Notice how certain pressures begin eating. Notice how conversations shift in tone. These are signs that the verdict is settling into reality. Do not rush ahead of it. Walk with it. The secret meeting was not dramatic for spectacle. It was strategic for destiny. And destiny requires composure. You are no longer waiting for change. You are walking into it. Stay steady. The next revelation will uncover what this transition unlocks beyond your current vision. Anointed One, what is beginning to unfold around you is larger than a single answered prayer. The secret meeting in heaven was not merely about resolving one issue or correcting one delay. It was about unlocking a sequence. There are moments in life that serve as gateways, and once crossed, everything on the other side begins to align differently. You are standing at such a gateway now. After the seal was placed over your name, and Michael moved with urgency, a chain reaction quietly began. Some obstacles that seemed immovable will start dissolving without dramatic confrontation. Some tensions that felt permanent will begin to lose their intensity. You may not even notice the shift at first because it will feel natural, almost subtle. But do not confuse subtle with insignificant. The most powerful shifts often occur beneath the surface before they become visible. There is a recalibration happening in your favor. For a long time, you were operating under pressure that did not belong to you. Expectations placed on you by others. Standards shaped by comparison. Responsibilities that stretched beyond your assignment. Heaven saw that imbalance. And when your name was spoken as the final word, part of the decision was restoration of proper weight. What is yours will remain. What is not yours will fall away. You might already sense a lightness in certain areas. A release. A quiet permission to stop carrying what drained you. That is not weakness. That is divine correction. Michael's movement was not only defensive, it was restorative. He stands where injustice attempts to distort purpose. And somewhere along your journey, purpose was being burdened by unnecessary weight. That ends now. There is also a financial and practical dimension to this shift. Provision follows alignment. When you are positioned correctly, resources begin flowing more appropriately. Do not panic if there is a brief moment of adjustment. Sometimes the old stream must dry before the new river begins to flow. Trust the transition. Lack will not define this season. Wisdom will. You have also been undergoing emotional purification. Old fears resurfaced recently, not to torment you, but to exit you. When heaven prepares someone for expansion, it cleans the interior first, because success without inner stability becomes fragile. What is coming toward you requires strength of character. You may find yourself reflecting on past versions of you with unexpected compassion. Regrets losing their sharpness. Shame losing its grip. That is healing. And healing is part of the verdict that was spoken over you. You are not being elevated with unresolved wounds. You are being refined. There is someone observing you quietly. They may not speak openly yet, but they are noticing your consistency, your endurance, your growth. That observation will matter soon. Influence often begins invisibly before it becomes acknowledged. And here is something important. Do not underestimate small obedience in this hour. A simple conversation handled with grace. A boundary maintained without anger. A decision made with integrity. These are the building blocks of the next level. When heaven declared acceleration, it did not mean chaos. It meant momentum build our wisdom. The reason the meeting was secret is because not everyone assigned to your life is assigned to your revelation. Some people would misunderstand what heaven is doing. Some would try to interfere with it out of their own insecurity. Silence protects sacred transitions. You do not need to announce your shift. Let it manifest. There may be moments where you feel tested again. Not because the verdict changed, but because growth must be proven in action. When those moments arise, remember that Michael stands in defense of what heaven sealed. You are not fighting alone. You are not navigating blindly. The gateway you are approaching leads to greater clarity about your purpose. Opportunities connected to your true identity will begin appearing. Not forced, not manipulated, but aligned. You will recognize them because they will not require you to shrink or pretend. Be patient with the unfolding. Even acceleration has rhythm. Even movement has order. You are transitioning from striving into alignment, from confusion into clarity, from endurance into influence. The sun is not set on this promise, and what was decided about you continues to unfold with precision. Prepare your heart. The next shift will reveal how this gateway changes not only your circumstances, but your impact. Warrior of quiet endurance, the acceleration approved over your life is no longer theoretical. It is beginning to press against your routine. You may feel it as restlessness, not dissatisfaction, but holy discomfort. The kind that whispers, "There is more." This is the echo of that secret meeting still vibrating through your timeline. When Archangel Michael rushed to deliver the results, it was because momentum had been released. Momentum does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it feels like doors you once knocked on are suddenly opening without effort. Sometimes it feels like conversations shifting in your favor. Sometimes it feels like ideas forming in your mind with unusual clarity. You are not imagining this. The atmosphere around you is adjusting. There was a delay that lasted longer than you expected. You questioned your timing. You wondered if you had misunderstood your calling. But what felt like delay was divine synchronization. Heaven was aligning pieces you could not see. If the verdict had been released earlier, certain protections would not have been in place. Certain lessons would not have been learned. Certain strengths would not have been developed. Now you are ready. However, readiness brings responsibility. Acceleration requires discipline. When movement increases, distractions often attempt to increase as well. You may notice invitations that pull you away from focus. Old habits trying to resurface. Familiar voices attempting to reintroduce doubt. These are not random. They are last attempts to keep you stationary. But you are no longer stationary. Michael's presence in this transition is not passive. He stands as reinforcement over your progress. What previously intimidated you will begin to lose its effect. You will respond differently. Calm where you once reacted. Confident where you once hesitated. Clear where you once felt confused. This is growth becoming visible. And as this growth becomes visible, your influence expands. Do not underestimate how many people are silently inspired by your endurance. There are individuals who watch how you handle pressure. They watch how you recover from setbacks. They watch how you continue even when acknowledgement is absent. You are modeling resilience without realizing it. That modeling will open unexpected doors. But hear this clearly. Acceleration does not mean abandoning wisdom. Move, but move prayerfully. Speak, but speak intentionally. Decide, but decide with discernment. The verdict spoken in heaven was precise. Your cooperation must be precise as well. There is also a creative dimension awakening within you. New strategies, new visions, new solutions. Do not dismiss them as random thoughts. Write them down. Explore them. Pray over them. What feels small today may become significant tomorrow. You are entering a season where initiative will be rewarded. Passive waiting is ending. Intentional action is beginning. If this message is aligning with your spirit, engage with it actively. Like this video as a declaration that you are stepping into acceleration. Share it with someone who needs confirmation that their delay was not denial. Comment your readiness below and declare that you accept divine movement over your life. Subscribe to this channel and become part of this unfolding journey. Join the membership if you feel called to go deeper. When you engage, you anchor your faith in action. Do not remain a silent observer of your own breakthrough. There is something powerful about agreement. When you publicly align with what heaven has spoken, it strengthens your internal conviction. And I need you to hear this next part carefully. Acceleration will test your trust. Things may begin happening faster than you expected. Opportunities appearing. Responsibilities increasing. Visibility expanding. Do not let sudden growth intimidate you. You prayed for expansion. Now expansion is responding. Remember the gateway you were standing before. You are stepping through it now. The sequence unlocked in that secret meeting is unfolding layer by layer. Each day will reveal more clarity. But do not grow impatient. Even accelerated seasons have stages. Respect each stage. Learn from each moment. Celebrate small confirmations. Gratitude will keep your spirit balanced. You are not chasing destiny anymore. Destiny is meeting you halfway. Hold your focus. What unfolds next will require courage, but it will also reveal just how intentionally your life has been guided. Trust the rhythm. The movement has only begun, and what is approaching will confirm that heaven does not rush without reason. Stay attentive. The next revelation will show you why your influence is about to stretch further than you imagined. Steadfast heart, what is unfolding now is the expansion of your influence, and it will not look the way you once imagined. When you prayed for elevation, you may have pictured visibility, recognition, or clear affirmation. But heaven often defines influence differently. Influence begins in alignment, deepens through integrity, and manifests through quiet authority. The secret meeting in heaven was not only about protecting you or accelerating you. It was about extending your reach. Not vrigo but vrimbai. When your name became the final word spoken, it signaled that your obedience in private had qualified you for responsibility in public. There is a sphere of impact that has been waiting for your maturity. You may start noticing that people seek your perspective more often. They ask for your advice. They watch how you respond under pressure. They study how you navigate tension. This is not accidental. Influence grows when character becomes consistent. And your consistency has been observed in realms you cannot see. Archangel Michael's urgency was connected to this extension. When influence increases, so does attention. Not all attention is supportive. Some will admire you. Some will misunderstand you. Some may even attempt to compete with you. But remember, competition only arises where insecurity exists. Your assignment is not to compete. It is to complete what you were called to do. You must guard your spirit carefully in this season. As your reach expands, temptation to prove yourself may surface. Resist it. You do not need to prove what heaven has already approved. Let your work speak. Let your integrity testify. Let your growth remain evident without announcement. There will be opportunities that look attractive but lack alignment. Not every open door is assigned to you. Discernment will be critical. The verdict spoken over you included precision. Walk in that precision. If something feels forced, step back. If something requires you to compromise values you fought hard to develop, decline it. You are no longer desperate for validation. The influence extending from you will also challenge your compassion. As you rise, you will encounter individuals still struggling in areas you have overcome. Do not become impatient with them. Remember your own process. Remember the nights you questioned your strength. Remember the moments you nearly retreated. Compassion will keep your influence pure. At the same time, do not allow other stagnation to slow your momentum. You can care without carrying. You can support without surrendering your pace. There is also a generational aspect to what is happening. The shift over your life is not isolated. It will ripple outward into family, community, and beyond. Patterns that once seemed permanent in your lineage are being interrupted. Cycles of limitation are weakening. Your growth is not selfish. It is strategic. Michael stands at the threshold of this expansion not only to defend you but to reinforce boundaries. When influence stretches, boundaries must strengthen. You will need solitude at times. You will need silence to recalibrate. Do not fear stepping away from noise. Retreat is not regression. It is refueling. Pay attention to your inner peace. That will become your compass. When you are aligned, peace remains even in pressure. When you are misaligned, restlessness increases. Learn to discern the difference. The extension of your influence will also reveal hidden support. Individuals who once remained distant may begin offering collaboration. Unexpected encouragement may arrive. Resources may align in ways you did not orchestrate. These are confirmations that the sequence unlocked in that heavenly meeting is progressing. But influence carries weight. Responsibility will increase. Expectations may rise. Do not let external pressure override internal clarity. Stay grounded. Stay teachable. Stay humble. You are the final word spoken for a reason. Final words initiate movement that cannot be reversed casually. You are moving into territory that requires emotional intelligence, spiritual awareness, and disciplined action. As this unfolds, do not shrink when your presence shifts a room. Do not apologize for growth. Do not minimize the wisdom you carry. Stand in it quietly, confidently, without arrogance. The next phase will test how well you handle visibility. Not everyone will understand your transformation. Some may prefer the older version of you because it made them comfortable. But growth is not about comfort. It is about calling. Stay steady. The expansion has only begun. And what is about to unfold will reveal how deeply heaven trusts you with this influence. Chosen vessel, there is a deeper layer to this expansion that you are only now beginning to sense. Influence is not the final destination. It is the instrument. What heaven truly activated in that secret meeting was legacy. And legacy is not built in noise. It is built in obedience over time. When your name was the final word spoken, it was not only about this week, this month, or even this year. It was about trajectory. The direction of your life has been recalibrated. Some of the struggles you endured were not random trials. They were training grounds. You were being shaped into someone who could carry weight without collapsing under it. Archangel Michael's urgency was connected to the preservation of this trajectory. There were subtle distractions attempting to redirect you into smaller cycles. Cycles of comfort. Cycles of settling. Cycles of playing safe. But heaven did not design you for small containment. You were designed for impact that stretches beyond immediate applause. Legacy begins with private decisions. In this season, your hidden disciplines matter more than public recognition. The way you manage your time. The way you guard your thoughts. The way you treat people who cannot benefit you. These quiet choices are laying foundations, and foundations determine how high you can build. There is also a spiritual sharpening happening. Your discernment is increasing. You may find yourself sensing motives more clearly, understanding patterns more quickly, recognizing truth beneath surface appearances. This is not suspicion, it is wisdom, and wisdom protects legacy. However, with increased discernment comes increased responsibility. You cannot ignore what you now see. If something feels misaligned, address it prayerfully. If something no longer fits your growth, release it peacefully. Delay in obedience can create unnecessary detours. The heavenly meeting sealed protection, but it also sealed accountability. You are stepping into a level where excuses will no longer feel satisfying. You will know when you are compromising. You will feel when you are procrastinating. And that awareness is grace. It prevents self-sabotage. There is a generational echo to what you are building. Someone younger is watching your choices. Someone older is learning from your courage. Even if you do not see them clearly, your obedience is creating permission for others to rise. This is why distraction is dangerous in this hour. Not because you are fragile, but because you are influential. Small compromises can ripple outward. Stay vigilant without becoming anxious. Vigilance is awareness rooted in peace. You may also feel moments of deep reflection about your past. Not with regret, but with revelation. You are beginning to understand why certain doors closed. Why certain relationships shifted. Why certain delays felt unbearable. They were protecting your trajectory. If those paths had continued, they would have limited your reach. Michael's presence in this unfolding ensures that what is built now is not easily shaken. But remember, protection does not replace participation. Continue refining your skills. Continue nurturing your spirit. Continue choosing growth even when comfort tempts you. Legacy requires endurance. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Days when discipline feels repetitive. Days when recognition feels distant. Do not measure impact only by applause. Measure it by alignment. If you are aligned, you are advancing. As this truth settles over you, respond intentionally. Type "I build with purpose" in the comments if this message confirms what your spirit had been sensing. Blessing code 5821 is now activated over those who commit to legacy over comfort. And as you step into this awareness of legacy, understand something sacred. When you sow into a word that strengthens foundations, you are not funding content. You are planting seeds into eternal impact. Scripture declares that one plants, another waters, but God gives the increase, and today that increase is speaking directly to you. If this message has guarded your trajectory, let your response reflect your gratitude. I am choosing to build what heaven has assigned, and you can stand in that same declaration. When you release a seed through Super Thanks, join membership, or give through the PayPal link in the description, you become part of the harvest of transformed lives. This is not routine generosity. This is prophetic partnership. As you give, may your own house be strengthened, and may open heavens respond to your obedience. Act now and sow into what God is multiplying. Courageous soul, the legacy that has been activated over your life is now demanding refinement. Expansion without refinement leads to instability, and heaven is not interested in building something that cannot endure. The secret meeting that concluded with your name was not rushed in decision. It was deliberate in preparation. What you are stepping into must be sustained, not just started. You may begin to notice that your standards are changing. What you once tolerated easily now unsettles you. What you once excused now requires confrontation. This is not arrogance. It is elevation of discernment. When your trajectory shifts upward, your tolerance for misalignment decreases. That is growth asserting itself. Archangel Michael's continued watch over this season is about reinforcement. Influence and legacy attract both opportunity and scrutiny. As visibility increases, so does examination. But do not fear being examined. Integrity welcomes light. If your foundation has been built in truth, exposure only strengthens credibility. There is also a refinement happening in your speech. Words you once released casually now feel weightier. You are becoming more intentional. Silence is becoming more strategic. You are learning that power does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it is revealed through restraint. This maturity is a sign that the heavenly verdict is settling deeper into your character. However, refinement can feel isolating. When your standards rise, your circle may shift. Conversations may change. Shared interests may fade. Do not interpret this as abandonment. Is alignment adjusted? You are not meant to carry everyone into every season. Some people are chapters, not the entire story. You must resist the urge to explain your growth to those committed to misunderstanding it. Not everyone is assigned to comprehend your transformation. Some will project their own fears onto your progress. Stay composed. Respond with grace. Let consistency answer what argument cannot. There is also a financial and strategic sharpening taking place. You will begin seeing inefficiencies more clearly. Wasted energy. Misplaced investments. Time spent on tasks that do not multiply. This awareness is not criticism. It is correction. Refinement teaches you to steward resources wisely. The secret meeting addressed stewardship because what is being built through you will require sustainability. Short-term excitement cannot maintain long-term impact. Discipline will. You may feel called to restructure certain routines. Adjust priorities. Create boundaries where access was once unlimited. These adjustments are not selfish. They are necessary. When responsibility increases, access must be managed carefully. Refinement will also test humility. As doors open and recognition grows, pride may attempt to whisper. Stay grounded. Remember the process that shaped you. Remember the nights of uncertainty. Remember the patience required in waiting. Gratitude will protect you from arrogance. Archangel Michael's urgency at the beginning of this unfolding was about protecting the activation. Now his presence reinforces endurance. What has started must continue. Momentum must be maintained with wisdom. You are entering a phase where leadership may emerge naturally. Not because you demanded it, but because others trust your stability. Leadership is not about dominance. It is about responsibility. It is about serving vision while protecting values. Be mindful of exhaustion. Refinement requires energy. Rest strategically. Replenish spiritually. Do not confuse constant activity with productivity. Sometimes refinement requires slowing down to strengthen structure. You are no longer reacting to life. You are shaping it intentionally. That shift is significant, and it did not happen by accident. It was approved in that sacred council. As you continue walking through this recalibrated path, expect clarity to sharpen even further. Decisions that once felt complicated will become simpler. You will recognize misalignment faster. You will choose wisely with less hesitation. This is what refinement looks like when heaven finalizes a verdict. The next layer will reveal how endurance solidifies everything that has been activated. Stay steady. You are not merely advancing. You are being established. Determined spirit. Endurance is now the key that will solidify everything heaven has activated over your life. Acceleration began the movement. Expansion strengthened. Refinement strengthened your structure. But endurance will establish you. Without endurance, momentum fades. With endurance, momentum multiplies. The secret meeting that concluded with your name as the final word was never about a temporary breakthrough. It was about permanent positioning. Permanent positioning requires consistency when excitement settles. It requires faith when visible confirmation slows. It requires trust when applause is absent. This is where many stumble. They celebrate the shift but neglect the stamina required to sustain it. You must not fall into that pattern. Archangel Michael's early urgency was about delivering the verdict before you made a misaligned decision. Now the focus shifts to maintaining what has been granted. There will be days when progress feels slower than you expect. Days when old doubts attempt to resurface quietly. Days when you wonder if the shift was as significant as it first felt. In those moments, remember this. Heaven does not retract what it seals. Endurance is not dramatic. It is daily. It is choosing discipline when distraction is easier. It is choosing gratitude when comparison tempts you. It is choosing patience when results take time to manifest fully. You are building something that will outlast emotion. There may also be subtle tests in relationships. People may question your new boundaries. They may interpret your focus as distance. Do not over-explain yourself. Your clarity is not cruelty. Your discipline is not rejection. Growth sometimes creates distance, but that distance often protects destiny. Financially, strategically, spiritually, this season requires long-term thinking. Avoid impulsive decisions driven by temporary feelings. Evaluate opportunities through the lens of sustainability. Ask yourself not only, can I do this, but should I do this? Wisdom will preserve what enthusiasm alone cannot. You will also notice an increase in responsibility. More expectations. More tasks. More influence. This is confirmation, not punishment. But pace yourself. Endurance thrives in rhythm, not chaos. Structure your days intentionally. Protect your focus fiercely. If this message is strengthening your resolve, engage with it intentionally. Like this video as a declaration that you are committed to endurance. Share it with someone who needs encouragement to remain steady in their own transition. Comment your commitment below and declare that you will not abandon what heaven has activated. Subscribe to this channel and remain connected to these unfolding revelations. Join the membership if you are ready to deepen your journey. Your engagement is not passive interaction. It is active agreement. And here is the retention you need to hear clearly. What is about to unfold next will test everything you have built so far, but it will also reveal just how unshakable your foundation has become. Do not lose focus now. The next layer is crucial. Endurance will also refine your emotional responses. You will become slower to anger, quicker to discern, steadier in uncertainty. That stability will attract trust. People rely on those who remain composed under pressure. Your composure will speak louder than any declaration. There may be moments when you feel tempted to slow your pace unnecessarily out of fear of failure. Resist that hesitation. Move wisely, but move confidently. The verdict spoken over your life included forward motion. Archangel Michael's protective presence remains constant, but you must cooperate through perseverance. You are not meant to sprint and collapse. You are meant to run steadily and finish strong. Remember why this began. Remember the discomfort that preceded alignment. Remember the prayers that preceded activation. Let gratitude fuel your endurance. The secret meeting was not symbolic inspiration. It was divine authorization. Authorization demands responsibility. Stay consistent when motivation fluctuates. Stay faithful when progress feels incremental. Stay focused when distraction whispers. You are not merely maintaining momentum. You are becoming established in it. What unfolds next will reveal the final confirmation that your name being the last word spoken was not coincidence, but covenant. Hold your ground. The establishment of your destiny is closer than you realize. Faithful overcomer, establishment is now taking root beneath your feet. What began as a whisper from a secret meeting in heaven is becoming a structure in your reality. You are no longer standing at the edge of transition. You are standing within it. A movement is not approaching anymore. It is active. When your name was the final word spoken, heaven was not only initiating acceleration, it was confirming covenant. Covenant means agreement backed by authority. It means what has been declared over your life carries weight beyond circumstance. Circumstances may fluctuate, but covenant remains steady. You may sense a deeper calm forming inside you lately. Not because every problem has vanished, but because your foundation has strengthened. Things that once unsettled you now feel manageable. Pressures that once intimidated you now feel temporary. That is establishment at work. Archangel Michael's urgency at the beginning was about delivering the verdict before misalignment occurred. Now his presence feels less urgent and more anchored. Not because the mission ended, but because you are standing firm. Protection surrounds you, but stability now resides within you. There is a noticeable shift in how you make decisions. You hesitate less. You question yourself less. You move with clearer conviction. That clarity is the fruit of endurance. You endure confusion. You endured delay. You endured refinement. Now you are walking in confidence shaped by experience. Establishment also brings testing, but not the kind you fear. These tests are confirmations. Situations may arise that resemble past challenges. Similar conversations. Similar pressures. Similar opportunities to react as you once did. But this time, you will respond differently. And when you do, you will realize how far you have come. That realization will strengthen you further. There may also be recognition coming from unexpected directions. Someone who once overlooked you may now acknowledge your consistency. An opportunity once denied may return with new terms. Respect may arrive where doubt once stood. Do not let recognition inflate you. Let it affirm you quietly. Remember, covenant is not dependent on applause. It is anchored in obedience. There is also a shift occurring in your internal dialogue. The voice of doubt is quieter. The voice of wisdom is stronger. You are not arguing with yourself as often. You are not second-guessing every move. That mental stability is evidence that the heavenly decision has settled into your identity. However, establishment does not mean stagnation. You are stable, but you are still growing. Growth now will feel less chaotic and more intentional. You will build strategically, plan thoughtfully, act decisively. There is a new level of responsibility approaching, one that requires leadership without arrogance and authority without domination. You will influence not by force, but by example. People will look to you not because you demanded their attention, but because your stability commands respect. Stay humble in this phase. Humility protects covenant. You may also experience gratitude rising unexpectedly. Moments when you reflect on how uncertain things once felt and realize how far you have traveled. Allow yourself to acknowledge progress. Celebration strengthens endurance. Archangel Michael's role in this unfolding has not diminished. He remains vigilant. But the intensity of urgency has transitioned into the strength of establishment. The rush was about activation. The calm is about confirmation. You are not chasing destiny anymore. You are walking in it. As you stand in this established space, prepare your heart for final confirmation. There will be a moment soon that solidifies everything you have sensed. A conversation, a breakthrough, a realization, something tangible that aligns perfectly with what was spoken in that secret meeting. When it arrives, you will recognize it immediately. You will know that your name being the last word spoken was not symbolic encouragement. It was decisive authorization. Remain steady. Remain grateful. Remain aligned. The final unveiling is near, and it will affirm that heaven does not speak casually about those it intends to establish permanently. Beloved child of destiny, this is the hour of unveiling. What began as a secret meeting in heaven is no longer hidden in the unseen. The results Archangel Michael rushed to deliver are now standing before you in reality. You have felt the shift. You have endured the stretching. You have embraced the refinement. And now, you are standing established. The final confirmation is not always a dramatic explosion. Sometimes it is a quiet alignment so undeniable that your spirit whispers, "This is it." A door opens that once resisted you. A burden lifts that once exhausted you. A clarity settles where confusion once ruled. And in that moment, you will realize that heaven's verdict has fully arrived. When your name was spoken as the final word, it sealed more than protection. It sealed promotion. Not necessarily a title, but a transformation. You are no longer who you were when this message first found you. Something inside you has shifted permanently. Your thinking has matured. Your standards have risen. Your courage has strengthened. Archangel Michael did not rush without reason. He moved because timing was critical. If you had stepped into this season unaware, you might have misinterpreted the changes. You might have resisted the exposure. You might have feared the acceleration. But now you understand. The exposure protected you. The acceleration aligned you. The endurance established you. And here is the final truth you must carry forward. Heaven trusted you with this transition. Trust is sacred. It means you were seen as capable, worthy, ready. Even when you doubted yourself, heaven did not doubt you. Even when you questioned your strength, heaven saw your endurance. Even when you felt unseen, your name was echoing in a divine council. This is covenant. Covenant does not dissolve when emotions fluctuate. Covenant does not disappear when challenges arise. Covenant stands because it is backed by divine authority. And your life is now moving under that authority. There may still be moments of testing ahead, but they will not destabilize you. They will confirm you. You will face familiar patterns and realize they no longer control you. You will encounter opportunities and recognize which ones align instantly. You will walk into rooms and sense that you belong there. Before the sun sets on this chapter, take a moment to reflect. Look back at who you were at the beginning of this journey. Look at the fear that once lingered. Look at the uncertainty that once clouded your vision, and then look at the strength you now carry. This is the result. Type IT is sealed in the comments if you receive this confirmation in your spirit. Blessing code 9073 has now been released over those who step fully into their established destiny. And as this covenant seals over you, understand something powerful. When a word from heaven protects and establishes a soul, supporting that word becomes an act of obedience, not obligation. The Lord says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you," and that promise is alive in this very moment. I am stepping into what God has authorized, and you can step into partnership with that same authority. When you release a seed through Super Thanks, join the membership, or give through the PayPal link in the description, you are not sustaining a channel. You are extending a covenant message to countless hearts still waiting for their name to be called. This is your moment to respond prophetically. As you sow, may protection surround your household, may acceleration meet your obedience, and may open heavens answer your faith. Act now and seal your agreement with what God has spoken.